we're going to be canning pears on a rocket stove. We were wondering if you could can on a rocket stove, and we tried it out, and yes you can. It works really well. Fresh fruit is really good for you, but the problem is it only is ripe once a year. Yes, you can buy fruit from the store, but you don't know how many pesticides are on it. You don't know if it was grown in nutrient depleted soil, and you don't know if it was picked green. So if you can find some good fresh ripe fruit, pick it off a tree, can it up yourself in some glass jars, you'll have some fruit that's got real good nutrition, a real good substitute for the fresh fruit that you buy from the store, which may not really have as much nutrients as you're expecting. It's really easy to can. I'm going to show you. I can my pears with the peelings on because the peelings are so thin. I think they add flavor, and it's just a whole lot easier. It's how God grew them anyway, so they're good for you. So I've got my jar full of pears. I need to add some water to can it in. If I just used plain water, the water is not sweet and the pears are, and it would suck the sweetness out. So you want to sweeten your water. I always used sugar in the past, but recently I'm not interested in eating white sugar anymore, so I've been using stevia powder. What I do, fill up a gallon jar with water. And I put in 2 teaspoons of stevia. This is stevia extract, it's a white powder. Stir it up a little bit. So that was 2 teaspoons per gallon. This makes a sweet liquid, like a syrup, that's what I'll pour over all my fruit. Then I will fill the jar up to right about here. If you fill it too full, it will boil out when you can it, so this fruit will sink down into it. Then I'll take the lid and ring, screw it on, and now we're ready to can. This is a pressure canner. Here's the lid. As you can see, it's got soot on it because we've been canning on a rocket stove. You need water in the bottom of the kettle, 2 quarts. So I've got this 2-quart jar of water that I'm going to dump in. Then we'll load in the jars. A can or kettle will take 7 of these quart jars. So we'll get all 7 in there. You can also can, instead of 7 of these, you can put 4 2-quarts in. This kettle will hold both different sizes. Then we'll put the lid on. First of all, I want to point out how safe pressure canning is. Sometimes people get concerned over it, but they have real good safety features built into them. This can never explode or blow up, because even if this little place where the steam comes out should get clogged up, I've canned for years and years, never seen it happen. But if it should, this little rubber plug right here would just blow out and steam would come out. There's no way that this thing could explode. So works real well. It's safe. It also has a lock. When it's pressurized, this thing keeps you from opening the kettle, so there's no way a kid could open it up. So they're safe, fast, and easy. Put the lid on, line up these 2 arrows right here, slide it over, and we're ready to put it on the stove. Okay, it's been 5 minutes where the steam's been coming up, and this has been up So it's time to put the weight on. This is a 15-pound weight. Put it over this spout and the dial will come up to 15 pounds and when it rocks, it'll mean it's reached 15 pounds and we can take it off the fire. We're just about there. It's starting to rock harder and harder. Okay, I think we've reached 15 pounds. Time to take this kettle off of the fire. Thank you. We'll let this kettle cool down until the pressure drops all the way. You'll notice the gauge gets all the way down to the bottom, and the most conclusive evidence is when this drops. When you hear this little metal thing drop, you'll know the pressure is all down, and at that point you take the weight off and you crack the kettle lid a little bit. You don't take the kettle lid right off, you let it cool down slowly. So we'll show you that when the time comes. Right now we'll let it sit for 10 minutes or however long it takes for it to cool down. Okay, you'll notice that this has fallen down. That means the pressure has completely gone down in this kettle. Time to cool it off. Take the weight off and then just crack the kettle a little bit. I lift it up a little bit and just let it start cooling off. In like 2 or 3 minutes I'll come and open it up a little bit more. Then after that, cools down a little bit more, it'll be time to take the jars out. Okay, this canner has cooled down sufficiently. When I open it up, there's no big wave of steam. That's a good sign to me. You want to let it cool down naturally. If you were to just open the lid right after you took it off the fire, it wouldn't give time for the jars to cool down and to finish sterilizing. So it's ready to take the jars out now. These are nice little things for lifting out the jars. Then set them down on somewhere where they can cool. If I'm inside, I'll lay down a dish towel on the countertop to set them on. Or if I'm doing big business, I'll get out a plywood to set all the jars down on. Since I'm canning outside today, which is a great idea, I'm just setting them on this wooden countertop, this wooden picnic table. After this, the jars are all done. What will happen is they will cool down. This will pop down and this part right here and seal the jars. I'll let them sit just without bothering them all day today. Tomorrow, after they've rested overnight, I'll come by, take the ring off, and just rinse the jar. Sometimes, depending on the fruit, sometimes the jars are a little sticky on the outside. If you get them all cleaned up, they won't get your cupboards dirty, and they'll just keep real well. So now we have some good, healthy, home canned pears that will last us for several years. That is if we don't eat them up first.